Welcome to Victoria's Nirvana with your host, Victoria Lynn Ravenwood, where it's all about evolving your mind, being creative, and daring to live an enlightened life.
This week, let's talk self-trust. I was reading through several books this week, and one of them, The Art of Self-Talk, was very interesting and made a point that you can't heal or move forward in your life unless you trust yourself. That's a very basic, fundamental thing that you have to have in place in order for anything else to work. And while a lot of these books didn't really discuss how you build self-trust, the whole concept, very intriguing to me. I think it is true that you need to have a foundation of self-trust in order to do any other deep type of healing work or any type of spiritual practice, but I had never really considered that as a key ingredient before. There are so many gurus out there, teachers, practices, and family members that mean well, some of it don't, I guess, that we have to be able to know who we are and trust our own inner knowing and make our own decisions about our path and which way we should go and what we should do and whether something is valid for us or not at a certain time. Because sometimes something might be valid now and then not that valid later. Things change, things evolve, we change every second. Our bodies are changing, our thoughts are changing, the world around us is changing. We have to cultivate that foundation of self-trust. It is a basic step that we all need to explore on our path. And people who have this in place when they start do wind up faring better in the long run, because it's so easy to be taken in by someone else's opinion, someone else's expert status, someone else's training. We're so used to just buying into everything that's out there as if there's something out there is more important than us, has more authority than us, knows more than us. And we just lose that sense. We lose it in school. We're told to listen to everything the teacher tells us, and the teacher has so much authority over us. We don't really get to make our own decisions and choices and trust ourselves. We're like taught to not trust ourselves, and we have to get that back. And I think some of the key ways that we get that self-trust back is we start speaking kindly to ourselves. So much of our day is spent in this negative mental chatter that is very degrading and unhelpful and causes anxiety and so much of the ills that we face, that we really need to get to a place where we're talking much more kindly to ourselves and have our thoughts programmed to be more positive. The brain is set up to be more negative and have a negativity bias in order to protect us from danger. But we need to have an underlying positive thread running through our thought, because our thoughts being negative does not protect us. It just gives us anxiety and distracts us and is very unhelpful. I also think that we need to be authentic. We need to know who we are, figure out who we are, take the time to understand ourselves and explore our past and our upbringing. Do some journaling, answer some questions about your past. There's so many books out there on 100 questions to discover yourself that you can buy and use to journal off of, and start going through your past and figuring out what it was you used to like, what your values are, what your beliefs are. And the more that you know about yourself, the more you can stand true in yourself, the more you can be authentic with yourself. And the more that you do that, and the more that you demonstrate that to your conscious and unconscious, the more you start to trust yourself. The more you make decisions that are true to yourself, and the more time you save, the more effort you save in every way, because the decisions that you're making and things that you're doing are in line with your authentic self. And this allows you to have a lot more trust in your decisions and your opinions of what you should and shouldn't do. So another step is not taking other people's word for whatever their advice is or what they're telling you to do. They can only tell you about their experience and what has happened for them. As they say in The Art of Self-Talk, that people can guide you, but you shouldn't see anyone as a guru or an authority figure over you. But at different periods in our life, we can need some guidance from someone who has been where we've been, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just when we give ourselves over to what somebody else says that we can run into problems. And I agree with this. I think this is a very core issue that so many teachers and meditation centers and training places just don't discuss, and maybe they don't know to, or it just goes against what they're teaching, because a lot of them want you to give yourself over to the guru and the teachings and the trainings so that you will have an open mind, a beginner's mind, and absorb what they say and not get confused. But it really doesn't go against that, because you're just being true to yourself and you're taking in what they're saying, but you still have the authority in the space to say that does not fit for me, that particular thing, and I have a problem with that. And you can discuss it with the guide, but to just take everything at face value, blindly applying it to yourself, is a very slippery slope. It's time for us to have more agency and more say over our training and our practices. I also think we need to understand that we are a work in progress, and to stop trying to chase the end of the journey and the product that we want ourselves to become. If we embrace the feminine aspect of creation, which is being absorbed in the process of becoming, rather than being at the end and already having become as if there's nowhere else to go, we're chasing something that really doesn't exist. And just understanding that we are a process, that we are always in the process of becoming, we're always changing and growing, and that's just what life is all about. Life is about change and growth. It's about evolution. So we have to accept this fact that we are a work in progress, and stop beating ourselves up, and stop chasing after a final product that's going to make us happy and fulfilled once we reach that hurdle, because it never comes. It's always going to be moving. And I also think we need to learn to pause, learn to take the power of a pause. And in most situations, we just leap forward into things and we don't take the time to see what is authentic for us, what the right decision for us to make is. We just jump forward and do what we think we're supposed to do. We do what a book tells us to do. We do what the gurus tell us to do. We follow the path that gurus have laid out for us because it's worked for others. And it's okay to use that as a guide, but you still need to be able to bring in a part of yourself to it. Part of my studies for the PhD is in transdisciplinarity, and it's a new field that is all about combining disciplines to find solutions and answers and to grow and move forward in life. I have always combined things together to come up with something new, and it's been very hard, especially from a marketing standpoint, to try and pin myself down for branding. And in transdisciplinarity, we embrace that chaos and not knowing, where we bring together whatever it is that works. We don't just follow one path or one teaching. We bring in pieces from so many teachings, so many disciplines, all at once. Whatever the research calls is for, whatever you're trying to find out or exploring, you stay open. You keep your mind open. You may be researching something related to the water supply and how you can distribute it more equitably, and find out that there is something within the jazz community that applies to the problem and would help fix it, because of how the musical notes are put together and the chaos of it and how it all just comes together and creates this melody. You have no idea. There could be some research that you might come across if you stay open that gives you the perfect analogy of how to explain a problem to an audience that is a very scientific problem. But since you stayed open and you were exploring jazz and you were exploring sociology and you were exploring dance and you were exploring neuroscience, you have no idea what the research might show you. If you approach it as, I am a sociologist, and you only look at sociological research, you're going to limit yourself. So the whole idea of transdisciplinarity is staying open. And that's the way we should be in our healing practice, in our spiritual practice, is staying open to the things that are true to us, even though we are on a path maybe with a specific guide or teacher or teaching. We still need to remain authentic to ourselves and bring ourselves into the process, because what worked for someone else may or may not work for us. Or may work for us, but only if we come there in a very authentic way and we trust ourselves and we make the right decisions for ourselves, and we don't wind up wasting tons of time going down the wrong path or the wrong interpretation of a path. Because teachers, even with these texts that may be thousands of years old, they're still giving you their interpretation of it. You have to bring your authentic self and trust yourself in order to do well on the path. So I think it's a good idea to explore who you are, do journaling, and learn to trust yourself. Practice ways of trusting yourself. Speak kindly to yourself. Be authentic to yourself. Don't take anybody else's word for things. Explore it for yourself. Understand that you're a process, and learn how to pause and not rush into things. I mean, what do you really know about yourself? What have you really explored about yourself? Have you gone through your past to see how you wound up where you are right now? How did you wind up in the job that you're in? Why do you like certain foods that you like? These things are not just a given that everybody in your community likes the same things and we're all a carbon copy of each other. These things happen because of a sequence of events or the people around us. Why do you like what you like? Why do you desire what you desire? Why are you doing the work that you are doing? You need to take the time to understand these things and build a better picture of yourself so you can be your authentic self, so you can learn to trust yourself. And then you can navigate the path really well. So self-trust, I do agree with these books that it is a good foundation to have before pursuing anything in life, and to stop and start exploring who you are. And you might be really surprised at what you find. You may find that a lot of your desires and likes, things that you like, came from a very strange source and you never put the pieces together before. It can be kind of shocking to have some perceptions lifted and to uncover certain things about ourselves like this. But it's definitely worth it, and it'll help you in the long run. So I would suggest doing some journaling and maybe getting some of those books on, 101 questions of your piecing together your past, or there's quite a few out there, and give it a try and see how much easier life seems to be, making decisions seems to be after you've explored this for a while. And when you're listening to teachers and gurus and reading books, know that you don't have to accept what they say. You have to experience everything for yourself and try it for yourself, and then you will know in a much more concrete and total way what's right for you and what's not right for you, and that could change at any moment. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Victoria's Nirvana. Subscribe and visit victorialynnravenwood.com to sign up for the newsletter.